Hi, Phanessa here. In this video, I am going to demonstrate how to crochet and put together this granny square cardigan. There is a lot of information in this video, so if you want to or need to hop around, there are timestamps in the description below. You will also find information on the pattern, and that will let you know how many squares you need to crochet before you put them together. Just click on the link and it'll take you to the section that you need. We will start with the granny square tutorial, and then I will go over how to attach the squares. And I'm just showing you the way that I'm attaching it, which is the join as you go method, but you can attach them however you'd like. Okay, let's get started. We will start with the granny squares, so the basic granny square, changing colors every round. So here is a square that I have, and these are the different colors that I used for this square, and it is worsted weight yarn. For the hook, I'm going to use what was recommended on the label. So it's a USI. It is a 5.5 millimeter hook. And you'll need a pair of scissors and a tapestry needle if you're going to weave in your ends. So starting with a magic ring, you're going to hold your tail, and then you're going to wrap your working yarn around your fingers and over the tail. And then you're just going to grab the loop with your hook, and you're going to chain 1 to secure. So you can chain 3 to start your work, but I'm going to work the chainless double crochet. So pull up a tall loop, bring your hook forward, around, back into the ring, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. So you can chain 3, or you can do this. It gives it a look that looks more like a double crochet stitch. So now you're going to work 2 double crochets right into the ring. So that very first one counts as a double crochet. So your chain 3 will count as a double crochet. Okay, so you're going to need 4 of these granny stitches. Chain 2, and you're going to repeat for 4 granny stitches. You're going to work 3 double crochets into the ring. Okay, so that's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now you have 2 sets of the granny stitches. You're going to work 2 more, so chain 2, 3 double crochets into the center of the ring. Chain 2. So if you need to tighten this ring or make it smaller like that, you just tug on the tail. Okay, that's 3. We're going to work our last one. Okay, my last set of double crochet stitches, 3 double crochet stitches into the ring. Chain 2, and then you're going to join to the first double crochet. So if you chained 3, you're going to join into the 3rd chain. So I'm just going to join into the top of my chainless double crochet stitch. Work a slip stitch, pull through and through the loop on your hook. Okay, you can fasten off with this color. So I'm going to cut this color off. Make sure you leave a long enough tail to weave in later. Okay, you just want to yarn over and pull through your loop and then all the way through and tighten it. So that is round 1. We are going to switch colors for round 2. Okay, so the next color I have is going to be this golden yellow color, and you want to start with a standing double crochet, and you want to attach that to any chain 2 space. So I'm going to work a slip knot, place that on my hook, and you can go into any chain 2 space. Okay, so hold your working yarn and place your finger on the loop that's on your hook so that it doesn't get away from you. Okay, or you can pull down on the tail. So yarn over, and then insert your hook into any chain 2 space, pull up a loop, and then you're going to yarn over, pull through 2, And you can keep your finger there or hold on to the tail so that it doesn't move. You're going to yarn over and pull through 2. So you basically worked a double crochet stitch instead of chaining. So work 2 more double crochet stitches. 1, 2. And then you're going to chain 2 and work 3 double crochets into the same chain 2 space. So every corner is going to be 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. If you chained 3, that counts as your first double crochet stitch. Okay, so this is my 3rd double crochet. Okay, so this is the corner, 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets. Now I'm going to do the same thing on each corner. So you're going to work 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets all into the chain 2 space. Okay, so now you can see here I have 2 of my corners worked. So if you look here, I alternated front and back. So I turned every time I changed colors on every round. See, that's the wrong side, that's the right side. And then I just kept turning and working on the other side when I switched to a new color or in each round. You don't have to do that. I just wanted to do that for the cardigan that I was making. So I'm just going to stay on the right side for this one, just for demonstration purposes. So I'm going to go ahead and work my corner stitches, 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets all into the chain 2 space. Okay, so now I'm going to join to the first double crochet stitch. So that was the standing double crochet stitch. If you chained 3 instead, just work a slip stitch through or into the 3rd chain from your beginning chain 3. So fasten off this color and we're going to join the next color for round 3. Okay, so now I'm going to grab my vanilla color here and start with a slip knot. If you want, you can turn. So this is the wrong side. Again, I'm just going to stay on the right side. So work into any of these chain 2 space. You want to start with your standing double crochet. Okay, so again, place your finger on the loop so it doesn't fall off. Yarn over, insert your hook into the chain 2 space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. So that's my first double crochet. I am going to work 2 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. Okay, starting round 3, you have a space in between the granny stitches. So here, you want to work 3 double crochets right into the space between the granny squares. After each round, you will have more to work into, but for round 3, you just have the one in between the corner stitches. Okay, so 3 double crochets, and then I'm at the corner again. I'm going to work 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets for the corner stitch right into the chain 2 space. Okay, so that's what you're going to repeat all the way around. Make sure you work your corner stitches into the chain 2 space, which is the 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. So right there. In the center or the side of your squares, you'll have the space between granny stitches that you will work just 3 double crochets into. Okay, so repeat. In the corners, it's going to be 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. and then this is the center or the side of your granny square. 3 double crochets here, corner stitch, 3 double crochets, and then you join right there. Okay, so I'm back around. I'm going to join to the top of my standing double crochet stitch. Okay, I'm going to fasten off, yarn over, and pull all the way through. So that is all you need to know. This is round 3. For round 4 and any following rounds, you're going to attach your standing double crochet in any of the chain 2 corners. And then the corner stitches are 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets. On the side here between the granny stitches, you just work 1 granny stitch. Okay, so that's 3 double crochets, 1 there, work your corner stitch, 1 granny, and your corner stitch. And then again, the sides are just 1 granny stitch each space between the granny stitches. And change colors after every round. So here I have a sample with 5 rounds, and I changed colors every round, and I also turned every round so that it's the same on both sides. So that's the corner stitches right there. These are the single granny stitches, and as you get further into your rounds, you will have more granny stitches in between your corner stitches. For this one, I started over with my color repeat. Okay, so I recommend that you weave in your ends after each square because it is a nightmare to do them all at once, which is what I did. Okay, so now we're ready to join the squares. Check the pattern for the number of squares that you'll need, and we are going to be using the join as you go method. The first square is going to start with the last round already worked. You can start anywhere in the back or front. I recommend the very corner. And then the sleeves are going to be done a little bit differently, so I will show you how to attach that when we get there. So here's a chart of how you will join your 2 squares. The first one, you will complete the last round, and then you can see here you will start in the corner on the second square, and then you crochet all the way around, and then the last edge where you need to join is going to be attached to the first one by slip stitches. Okay, so I'll show you how to do that. So starting with the first square, the first one you're going to be crocheting all the way around because this is your starting square. Okay, so I'm just going to, just like before, attach with a standing double crochet in the corner of the chain 2 space, and then I'm just going to work this round with this color. Okay, so here I have the finished square. Now I'm ready to attach the next square. So if you look here, it needs to be attached on one edge. So you will crochet around the 3 edges. And this edge that you want to attach will be crocheted as you go. Okay, so you want to start in any chain 2 space in your second square. Work your 3 double crochets. Start with your standing double crochet stitch. And you're not going to be working the full corner stitch like you've been doing, just for the squares that you're attaching. So we'll start with 3 double crochets, and then we're going to go across, so into every space between the granny stitches you're going to work granny stitches, so 3 double crochets. So it's just like you've been working the pattern for the granny squares. Okay, so you're just going to work across the 3 sides, and then we will attach to our first square. So just like you started, you want to end the corner with just 3 double crochets because we're going to incorporate and attach the first one. So I have 3 double crochets. You're going to now chain 1, And now you're going to slip stitch into the other corner here. Okay, so right into the corner, you're going to work one slip stitch. So insert your hook, pull up a loop, and then pull through. Now we're going to chain one again. So now we have our chain two, and then we're going to work 3 double crochets back into the chain two space. So you work the 3 double crochets, chain one, and then you slip stitch into the corner, and then chain one and 3 double crochets back into the chain two space. Okay, so now you're going to join into the other square right here at this space here. So you're going to work one slip stitch. Okay, so that slip stitch is not going to count as a stitch. Now we're going in here and working our 3 double crochet stitches, which is your granny stitch. So in between each granny stitch, you want to slip stitch to the space on the other side, to the other granny square. Okay, so you're going to slip stitch there, 3 double crochets, slip stitch, 3 double crochets, and then we go all the way across. Okay, so my next stitch is slip stitch to the other square. Now back on this square, 3 double crochets into the space between the last granny stitches. So between the 2 granny stitches, 3 double crochets. Now back to the other side, you want to work a slip stitch. Back on this side, granny stitch. Almost at the end, slip stitch to the other side. Back to this square, 3 double crochets. To the other side, slip stitch in the space. Okay, so now we're at the beginning of the round. So here we worked the 3 double crochets. You want to work the rest of the corner stitches. So 3 double crochets. And then you're going to chain 1, slip stitch into that corner chain 2 space on the other square. So right in there, work a slip stitch, chain 1, and then join to your first double crochet. So now we have joined 2 squares and we're ready to join the next square. So you continue to join your squares starting at whatever corner you want to start at. So the next one I want to join will be right here. And you always look to see where you want to join. So you want to join one side, you will crochet around the other 3 sides and then join as you go here. So this is what it looks like. When you will crochet this side, this side, this side, and then join as you go here. So now if you were joining at a corner where there are more areas to join, what you will do then is lay your square, and then you need to join in 2 areas. So the sides that you're not joining, you're going to crochet here, here, and then join as you go here and here. So I'm going to show you how to join 2 sides. So start again in the corner with your standing double crochet, and we're just working 3 double crochets, so sort of half of your corner stitches. And then I'm going to crochet across this side here, and then I'm only going to do 2 sides, and then when I stop on the chain 2 space right before I need to join, I'm just going to work 3 double crochet. So across here and here. Okay, so I have my 2 sides. Now I'm ready to join the other 2 sides. So you want to end with your 3 double crochets. I'm going to now chain 1. And just like before, slip stitch into the corner of the chain 2 space in your other square. So right there, slip stitch, and then the other half of the corner stitch, chain 1, and 3 double crochets back into the chain 2 space of the current square that you're working on. Okay, now we're going to work just like before, slip stitch on this side. So right here in this space. Okay, now back to this square, 3 double crochets. So just like before, you're just going to go back and forth, work your granny stitch, work your slip stitch on the other square, and then you work those stitches across, and I'll show you how to join right at the corner. Okay, so I'm at the corner now, and this join is a little bit different than if you were just to join two pieces. So I'm going to work my corner stitch, half of it. I'm going to work 3 double crochets into this chain 2 space. Okay, so I want to join across the 2 squares on the left and right. So I'm going to go through this chain 2 space and out here into the other chain 2 space diagonally. Okay, so you're going to chain 1 and now insert your hook through the corner chain 2 space here and then out the other side. Work a slip stitch, chain 1, and then 3 double crochets back into the same chain 2 space. Now you just continue across this side here, join as you go, just like you've been doing. So right here, you'll go ahead and slip stitch to the other chain 2 space, and then 3 double crochets, slip stitch, 3 double crochets, and so forth. And at the end of this one, I'm actually going to join through both of the 2 squares next to the corner, the closest to the corner. Okay, so I am at the end here. I've just worked my slip stitch on the other side. Now I'm at the chain 2 space. I'm going to work my 3 double crochets into the chain 2 space. That's where we started our round. And then we're going to join to the other square. Okay, so that's 3. Now you're going to chain 1. So because we have 2 squares here, I'm going to go through both of these chain 2 space, because I don't have one diagonally to the other square. Chain 1 and then slip stitch to the first double crochet. And then I'll just keep adding squares. Okay, so I'm going to crochet across the sides that I don't want to join and then join as I go on the other 2 sides. Okay, so I want to join my underarm here. This is the other side of my sleeves. I did use 3 squares here, so it's a little different when you're trying to join this section here. You're going to actually join, let's see, so it's 1 and then 2 and then sort of like 3, 4. And I'll show you how I did that. So I'm going to be adding my squares here, and I had to make some adjustments, so these aren't joined yet, but you should just join as you go. And for this one, I'm doing halfway, so 3 of these stitches I'm going to close here. So this will be my meeting point. This is half of the squares. So there's 1, 2, 3 granny stitches, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so just like the corner here, when we join, it's the same when you get here. And you'll see, and you'll join through both of these, and then that will be the corner, just like on this side here. That's the corner, so where the edges meet. So just like before, you want to take a look at how many sides you want joined. So I have 1 here, 1 here, and then the other one's going to be here because it's going to be split between the 2. So that means I'm only going to work 1 side first, and then I'm going to join the rest. Okay. So I'm going to grab my yarn. So I'm going to start the corner and work 1 side. So I'm at the corner, and you remember that when you get to the corner, you work your first set, you chain 1, and then you join. So looking at this, this is my open end here. I'm going to want to join right here in this corner. So I'm going to turn this real quick. And this is the corner that I'm going to join. So I'm going to go through the chain 2 space in both of these corners, slip stitch, and then chain 1. So that's our chain 2, and then I'm going to work 3 double crochets right into the chain 2 space on the square that I'm working on here. Okay, so now I'm going to crochet along here and join this square here. So see, this is the next space here. Here's the corner. This is the next space. I'm going to work a slip stitch there and work the 3 double crochets. Space. I'm going to work a slip stitch there. I'm at the corner. Work my first set of 3 double crochets. Chain 1. And here's the corner that I want to join. So this corner is going to be right here. So I want to insert my hook from this corner to this corner, so diagonally across, and work my slip stitch. So I'm going through this chain 2 space from this corner, chain 2 space from this square, and pull up a loop, and then chain 1. Okay, so now I'm going to go back into my chain 2 space and work the 3 double crochets. Okay, so this is where it's going to be a little different. So here are my sleeves, and so far I've connected this one here. Okay, so this is the front, this is my front here. So I only want to join 3, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, so if you fold it, it's going to be, remember there's going to be a row here, so there's a round here. So right here is the center. I'm going to join 1, 2, and then 3. And I'm still on the back side, okay? I'm not joining both of these sides. This is the front right. So I'm going to go back and forth here, and then we'll hop on over here. So this should have been already joined, but I had to make some adjustments. Okay, so I'm still on the back piece. I've joined the corner and I've worked my second set here. So I'm going to come back to this piece here. Here's the corner here. I'm going to work a slip stitch. Come back to my square here. Work my 3 double crochets. 2, 3. Join here on the back side. 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So here's my 1, 2, 3. This is where I'm going to want to join through both of them, okay? So let's take a look. I'm going to move this so that I'm kind of rotating it. This is my shoulder now. This is the sleeves coming out here. That's going towards the bottom. I'm going to mark this spot here. So had I joined this, it will be like this, okay? So now you want to go through both squares, because you're going to come back up here. So insert your hook. This is the back piece, that's the front piece. We're going through both pieces to work our slip stitch. And then I'm going to come back to my square and work 3 double crochets. Okay, now we've joined the corner. We're kind of going in a circle here. So now I'm going to join the rest of this side to the front side, and then this is going to join the front side of the sleeve. Okay, I'm at a corner chain 2 space. Work the first set of 3 double crochets, chain 1. This will be like any other join. Go through this corner and this corner, chain 2 space and chain 2 space, and work a slip stitch and then a chain 1, and then back onto this chain 2 space here and work my other set of 3 double crochets. Okay, so let's turn this right side up again. Okay, so here is the neck, the front right, the sleeves are over here. So as you can see, I started here on this open edge here. I joined as I crocheted on the back piece, and joined here in the corner, and then I only went halfway, okay, and then I joined on that third space. I joined both of these squares, the front and the back. Then I completed the remaining of this side here, up here, 3 sets, and then the chain 1 joined to these corners, this corner and this corner, and then the 3 double crochets back into that chain 2 space. Now I'm going to work across, joining the last side of my square. Okay, so I've just worked my 3 double crochets. Come back up here, work your slip stitch, come back here, work the 3 double crochets, 2, 3, up here, slip stitch, down here, the 3 double crochets. Okay, so I'm going to do that across. 1, 2, 3, almost at the corner. Okay, I'm here at the corner. Remember that you always start with the first set in the corner. So now I'm working my second set in that same chain 2 space. And before I join, I want to chain 1 and join this corner here, chain 1. Now I can slip stitch to the first stitch. I'm going to fasten off. So now I've joined this piece here to my underarm, and now all we need to do is join the next 2 squares. And again, you'll start with one side. So this is the open side. You'll start with one side, and then you join as you go on the other 3 sides, and then the last one you'll do the same thing over here. Okay, so like I mentioned, I had to make adjustments, so I didn't join this part here. What I'm going to do, if you have a long enough tail, you can just use that. I attached a new yarn here. If you are joining as you go, you want to keep it sort of consistent. So instead of just slip stitching through these, which you can, I'm just going to weave in with a tapestry needle. So I'm going to go, because the next place I want to connect is right here. So I'm just going to run this through here, just because that's what you would have done if you joined. So those are the two corners that you would have joined. So then I'm just going to run my needle through the top of the 3 double crochets. I'm just weaving in and out one side to the other. So now I'm at the space. I want to find the other side, and I'm just going to go around it twice, meaning I'm going to run it through both sides through the space like I would if I were to slip stitch. Oops, kind of went through the brown one. Okay, so that's once and twice. So I'm going to do the same thing for the next one. I'm just going to run this through the 3 double crochets here. And then I'm in this space again. I'm going to run this through the space, through both of them, both the front and back, and tighten that. And then finally I'm going to go across here to the corner. Let me take this off. So now I'm going to run this across. Going through the 3 double crochets. And so I'm just going to run them through where they meet. There's only 3 corners. Remember, this is right in the underarm, and that's where we split one side of this square. Okay, after you've done that, you can just secure it and weave in your ends. Okay, so I'm going to join these 2, and then I'll start with my front collar here. Okay, so for the front, I'm going to follow the same color scheme I have for the squares. So my last color is the orange. I want to then start with this yellow color here. So on your front right bottom, you want to attach your yarn. So here's the front. Work a standing double crochet and attach it to the chain 2 space. Okay, so I'm going to work 2 more double crochets, and then I'm just going to work 3 double crochets in every space. So I'm continuing the granny stitch across, and that's going to be 3 double crochets in the space between the other granny stitches in the orange part. When you get to the section where the 2 corners meet, you're going to work a double crochet 2 together in this chain 2 space. Yarn over, insert your hook into that space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over into the same space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, and then with 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And then you're going to work a double crochet 2 together in this space and this space. So we're going to start here in the same chain 2 space, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. Now we're going to work into this space, yarn over into this next space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through 3. Into this same space again on this side, we're going to work another double crochet 2 together. Yarn over, insert your hook into that space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over into the same space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, and then with 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. This is a wider space, so I wanted to keep the 3 stitches but have them go across a wider section than here. So that will give you what looks like 2 sets, except it's still 3 stitches, so that when you're on the next row, you're just going to work between here and between here. So I played with different ways to do that, and I'm happy with the way that one worked out. Okay, so I'm at the corner, and you want to work 3 double crochets in this corner, skip this corner, and 3 double crochets in this corner. Okay, now skip this corner into this one, 3 double crochets. Okay, now we're going to continue across here and do the same thing on this side. We're going to work 3 double crochets in this corner, skip this corner, and then 3 double crochets in this corner. And then you'll work all the way back down the front left. Okay, so row 2, fasten off and fasten on with the new color. So a standing double crochet right into the very first double crochet from the granny stitch. And then we're going to skip on over to the space and work our granny stitch. So you're going to work 1 granny stitch, which is 3 double crochets into every space, all the way across to the other side. There are no special stitches in this row. Okay, so for row 3, you're going to fasten on the new color and work your first set of 3 double crochets right into the space between the double crochet and the granny stitch from row 2. Then you repeat rows 2 and 3 for the number of rows that you'd like. In the row 2 repeat, you start and end with 1 double crochet. And in the row 3 repeat, you start and end with a granny stitch. The number of rows that you're going to work here is pretty much personal preference, but I recommend, so you have 6 rounds here. You want to work 6 rounds here, or 6 rows on the edge. So this was my first row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you can see here, I added another one. And I actually want to add one more, but I'm not sure yet. Because you're always going to have one square in the center front that's missing, because that will be for your neck. 4, 5. So if you worked 5 rounds, you would work 5 rows. Does that make sense? So the number of rounds you have is the number of rows you want to work here. So that when you close it, it kind of matches up. Again, I did work an extra row, so it kind of overlaps a little bit. So I weaved in my ends, and this is a little unfinished. You can always work 1 row of single crochets on the edge with the same color as your last color so that it kind of blends in. If your sleeve is too long, take out 1, so 1 square, and then add on the granny stitches like you did for the front until you have the length that you want. Okay, so that's one option. And if you don't like it wide like this, you can always start decreasing. So it'll be something like fastening on and then 1 single crochet, 2 together, and then you repeat that around. And then you just repeat that round until it's the right circumference for you. So it'll be scrunched up like this. Okay, so I decided to add pockets, and this is the front here. I just added the pocket right above the bottom square. So you can do this in a couple of ways. You can crochet your last round and then either slip stitch around with your hook, or you can use your tapestry needle and sew it together stitch by stitch. I kept it consistent with the way I joined my squares. So I worked one side and then I joined as I crocheted on the other 3 sides. So I'm going to show you how to do that on this side here. Okay, so I have my one edge already crocheted. I'm going to rotate this real quick because I need to start on this side. So this is the bottom, and here's my first one, and then the second one is right here. So this is going to be my right side, so whatever you choose, just make sure that you lay it with your right side out. Okay, so I have my corner stitch done. I'm going to work my chain 1, and then right here in this corner is where I want to join. So I'm going to go through the corners here just like I would if I were joining the squares together. So I'm going to go through this one and this one, always diagonally. And then I want to chain 1 and work my second set of double crochets into the same chain 2 space. And then I'm going to join here. So if this square didn't exist, you would just go right through here. Because that one does exist, you just go through both of them to join your square and then continue on. So it's very similar to what you've been doing. It's just you're kind of attaching it right on top of another square. So here's the next space right here. That's the back side. I'm going to go through both squares. They're already attached, but I'm going to go through both of them. Okay, so I'm going to do that all the way across to the corner, and I'll join the corner and then move along with the bottom side. Okay, I'm at the end here. I'm going to work my 3 double crochets into the chain 2 space. Chain 1. So here's the sweater, the cardigan. The pocket goes in this way. I've worked across here. I'm going to join the corner, always the corners that are on the opposite sides. So into this chain space and into this chain space. Again, you can always just finish your last round, chain 1, and then you can sew it together stitch by stitch. What I mean by that is when you join like this, you have 3 stitches in between each join, so you have all this space here. So you're not actually joining the edge, so there's like a space right there. I wanted it like that. If you don't, like I said, you can sew across every stitch after you finish your last round. So I'm going to repeat that around. When I get here, I'm not going to have that other square to work through in the chain 2 space. So when I get here, I'm just going to work in here and then through here. Okay, so here I am. This is the front band. So when I'm ready to join the corner, I don't have that other square over here on this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm still going to go through this chain 2 space, but I'm just going to go right over here between this cluster of stitches. And then I'm going to chain 1 and work my second set of double crochets. And then connecting it is the same. So this will look a little different as well. You want to attach here, okay, but this one is in the way. It doesn't really matter which way you go. Either you go through this way or this way. Because of the way I'm crocheting, I'm just going to go this way and work my slip stitch. Okay, and you won't see it. So I'm going to do that across. This is my last side of the pocket. So that's the next space there. Just go under. I want to make sure that this isn't crossing my yellow like that. So right along the edge, bottom edge there. Okay, I'm back to this chain 2 corner. I just joined right here. I'm going to work my last 3 double crochets in the chain 2 corner that we started with. 2 and 3. Okay, chain 1. And now we want to complete our pocket by joining. So here is the square that we're right on top of. Right here, this is the corner stitch. That's the chain 2 right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the chain 2 space and then back out here, and then work my slip stitch, chain 1, and then join my round to the first double crochet. Okay, fasten off, and then you want to weave in your ends. So now I've attached my pocket. If you wanted to, you can add a liner. I don't know that I'll put anything too small in my pocket. It's probably mostly just to stick my hand in there to keep warm. All right, this was such a fun project. I am so happy with how it turned out. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you love your granny square cardigan. If you haven't, please subscribe, hit that notification button. You'll be notified every time I post a video. I'll see you next time.